Today we have some official confirmations about some crazy plot points coming up in Deadpool 3, but the craziest thing about this all is the confirmation is coming directly from Marvel. Now it looks like it might have been a mistake and they did not intend to reveal this yet, but of course it's the internet. Once it's on there forever. And today we're gonna break it down and get you more excited for Deadpool and Wolverine. If you thought it was going to be crazy, you're right. Because not only is Deadpool and Wolverine a big multiversal movie where they're going to explore universes that we haven't seen before, but they're also going to explore universes that we are very familiar with, like our main MCU timeline. In fact, it sounds like they're going to be tampering with some events of the main MCU timeline that everybody knows and everybody loves, but they're going to be putting a Deadpool and Wolverine twist to it. I did a video about this before, predicting that Deadpool and Wolverine were going to essentially rewrite some events of the MCU. And it seems like we basically have a confirmation of that today. Now this, we'll call it a report, not a leak, because again, this is coming directly from Marvel. So it's not exactly a leak, but more of a reveal. On the official Zazzle store for Marvel, the official account that Marvel runs, it is their account. So they are in charge of everything that goes on it. They put it on there themselves. When going to the About section about Deadpool and Wolverine, this is what it says. It gives us a ton of information. Check this out. The Time Variance Authority, or TVA, was established in Loki as a bureaucratic organization that preserves the sacred timeline and monitors multiversal anomalies. But does the TVA, even with its power to manipulate space and time, know what it's getting into when it recruits Wade Wilson, aka Deadpool? Following a long-established bromance with Wolverine, played by Hugh Jackman, Deadpool, played by Ryan Reynolds, is about to team up with the Adamantium Man, and not only will they be working to defeat a range of villains plaguing the Marvel Universe, but they'll be gate-crashing the MCU franchise too, and putting their own R-rated 20th Century Fox-style twist on some of our favorite moments from Phase 1 through 4. Expect to see a few cameos, along with some iconic costumes and personalized products in our officially licensed store for Deadpool and Wolverine below. Now there is a lot to talk about with what this just stated, but the first thing that I thought about when I read this for the first time was Avengers Endgame, the giant portal scene. It seems like Deadpool might insert himself into the events, into that big moment in Avengers Endgame, which is a very Deadpool thing to do. If he now has access to the MCU, can insert himself anywhere at any point in time in the MCU, well, that would probably be the place that he would want to be, along with all of the other heroes in the most important time in the MCU's history. The only question is, what will Deadpool do? A lot of people have been theorizing for a very long time now, since pretty much right after Avengers Endgame, people have been theorizing that Deadpool could insert himself into the Avengers Endgame scene, and perhaps he is the one to snap. And if you think about it, that actually solves a lot of problems. Deadpool can heal and regenerate. Deadpool would not die from the snap. In fact, Deadpool and Wolverine could do both snaps, taking the place of Hulk and Iron Man. And this could be one way that they rewrite the MCU. Now, having said that, I must issue a disclaimer here, a very important one. This will not undo what we actually saw happen in Avengers Endgame. This really won't affect the sacred timeline, because all it will really do is create a branched timeline. So yes, we will see Deadpool and Wolverine rewrite some parts of MCU history, but fear not, based off of everything that we know, that will only create a branched timeline and not actually affect the main MCU timeline. Now, one thing they said is they were going to put an R-rated style on some of these MCU events. Now, some of you might recall this, but Robert Downey Jr. revealed this after Avengers Endgame, that his final line in the movie, "I am Iron Man," was almost actually "F you, Thanos." That was almost his final line. Kevin Feige ultimately said no, and everybody pretty much ultimately decided that that wasn't a good direction to go. From the very first Iron Man film, the start of the MCU, we have heard Tony Stark say, "I am Iron Man." That was the start of the MCU. That was the start of Iron Man, so it would make a lot of sense, and it did make a lot of sense, to have his final words be also, "I am Iron Man." So Deadpool can break the fourth wall, come in, do the snap, say "F you, Thanos," and then remind the audience that that's what they originally were going to say, but they couldn't and decided not to. But Deadpool, being rated R, can. And that's obviously a very Deadpool-esque thing to say. Plus, I would really love to see Deadpool kind of geek out and then also at the same time make fun of all of the heroes that are there at the Avengers Endgame big portal scene. Now, we have heard before from some insiders that Deadpool and Wolverine will have their own big portal scene, which is another indicator that they probably will revisit the events of Avengers Endgame. Now, here's something that's really interesting that I really hope they do that fans might not know if you haven't read the comics. But Deadpool actually very, very much respects Captain America. He respects him so much that it kind of keeps his character in check. Like at one point in time, they were on the same Avengers team together, but there was a rule: Deadpool could not kill. And he agreed because Captain America wanted him on the team and he wanted to be with Captain America. But switch that around, Captain America actually respects Wade as well. You probably wouldn't think that. You probably would think that because of their morals, they crash and they conflict with each other, which of course they kind of do, but Cap still respects Deadpool for who he is, whereas most of the characters kind of treat Deadpool like a clown. Cap actually treats him like a real person and gives him respect because he kind of views him as like a fallen, broken soldier, which he definitely himself knows a lot about. So I would personally really love for Deadpool to go back to some old Captain America movies. It would be cool to see him go back to Captain America: The First Avenger or The Winter Soldier, since that's regarded as one of the greatest MCU movies of all time, but I also think it would be really cool to see him go back to Civil War. Since there are so many heroes in that, there could be a lot of cameos, whether that's just using the same footage from Civil War, or maybe they could have gotten one or two actors who reprise their role to do a new scene, who knows. But you can definitely see Deadpool asserting himself into that conflict, telling Steve and Tony to calm down. Don't fight, because ultimately this will go on to lead you all to be apart when Thanos comes, when he comes in Avengers Infinity War, and then of course all the events in Avengers Endgame. He could drastically change the course of that storyline if he kind of gets them to stay together and they're all together when Infinity War happens, and they could all be together to take on Thanos and defeat him. Now, of course, again, that would drastically alter that timeline, but again, that would be a branched timeline, not a big effect to the actual sacred timeline that we have seen up until this point. Which is honestly why Deadpool and Wolverine is so great. They can actually go and change a bunch of things, and it kind of matters because those timelines could appear again in Secret Wars or another multiverse film. Like in Doctor Strange 3, if he goes to another universe, we could see variants from a universe that actually came to be because of Deadpool and Wolverine. So they can change things and they could have an effect on the overall story, but at the same time, the main MCU sacred timeline that we hold sacred, all the movies and shows and events from phase 1 till now, they remain unchanged. And that's really the brilliance of Deadpool and Wolverine, and I bet that is what sold Kevin Feige on Deadpool and Wolverine returning, Hugh Jackman returning to play Wolverine. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, originally Kevin Feige, the president of Marvel Studios, told Hugh Jackman not to return as Wolverine. If you didn't hear about that, you can check out the video that I did completely about that so you can get up to date. But please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date on all the recent Marvel news. Be sure to let us know what you think about Deadpool and Wolverine changing events and doing a little R-rated spin to certain events that have happened during phase 1 through 4, and let us know what events you think they'll revisit. Let us know down below, and if you leave a comment and subscribe, you're entered in our giveaway for a chance to win a PS5 or Xbox Series X. We pick one winner at the end of each month. And a reminder, if you are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, we are on there as well and would love your support. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.